Hello again, everybody. It's me back again with another topic that's completely out of my normal range of videos, and is also pretty complex in my opinion, so I'm just well prepared for this video to utterly tank in views, but oh well. Also, if you notice that the mic quality is like slightly better, that's because I upgraded to a slightly better mic, this time with like a pop filter and everything, so I hopefully don't peak every 5 seconds when I try to do something like, laugh. Anyways, yeah, sorry if the audio is a little weird or, the levels are kind of odd because again, I'm still trying to figure this out, I just got it, but anyways, now that that's over with, I will be getting into the video. This situation is kind of messy and also contains details that I am forbidden to talk about if I actually want this video to not get stomped down to algorithm hell, so I'll try to keep it as vague as possible, so pardon any unconventional wording that you may hear. I'm sorry if I skip over some things or just miss something. There's a lot of information here and I'm trying to condense a lot of material into a relatively short video, so I recommend watching other people's coverages, the ones that are like 3 separate videos, because I'm trying to cram this entire situation into one video. Anyways, I'm mainly just going to be giving my thoughts here and going over things, so yeah, let's just get into this mess. On October 29th of this year, Twitter user Ivory made this post about commentary YouTuber Pyrocynical. In case you didn't know, Pyro is like one of the founding fathers of the commentary community. He was super big back in 2016 and he made pretty typical commentary type videos with some longer reviews sprinkled in. Basically, he used to be pretty popular back in the day, and well, I say used to, but he still is. Either way, this is what the tweet said. Trigger warning grooming, Pyrocynical groomed me and I have screenshots to prove it. I've been sitting thinking about this shit nonstop, being angry, confused, and sad that I've had to accept this since I was 15, but I never said anything because I felt powerless. What he sent ranged from drawn NSFW to iffy YouTube videos, and he'd asked me to compile stuff for him using tags that he liked on certain websites. At 15, I obviously did it because he's fucking pyrocynical. I was just happy to be talking to him, and I was trying to continue that. I have Discord screenshots going back 4 years proving all of this. I don't know if I should post them here, but I may. Either way, I'm done sitting here and being quiet about it when I know mad people went through the same shit but are extremely traumatized and scared of talking about it. Now, I'm not going to show the screenshots here because they're not very pleasant to read through, and they're also pretty graphic, and I know a lot of kids watch this, which is kind of unfortunate considering the topic at hand, but anyways, they revolve around furries being very obese and ERPs relating to the same topic. I'm pretty sure you can guess what I'm getting at here, think like DeviantArt stuff, but a thing to note is that there are a lot of screenshots and they're pretty graphic. You can find them in others' videos as well as the original tweet itself, but as for now, I hope you can just take my word, and since I am not actually providing proof, feel free to add a grain of salt in there as well, but I do encourage you to at least search them out if you feel comfortable doing so. Fair warning, like I did mention before, they are graphic, so proceed with caution. It's pretty much confirmed almost that this is indeed Pyro in the screenshots, but it has not been like solidified, I suppose, so I feel fairly confident in saying that he was conversing with Ivory. But in addition to the initial tweet, there was a twit longer, which I shall read here. Final statement on the pyrocynical allegations. Before I say anything, here's proof from my screenshots and his user ID, along with messages from his current girlfriend that prove it's all real. I'd like to clarify that I'm not doing this for clout or public attention, and I couldn't care less about that. This is a message to people who know Niall being Pyro, and know for a fact that this is true, but they continue to stay silent. What matters to me is that there are multiple accounts of Pyro abusing his power to be inappropriate with his fans, which include minors. It's not just me who's been affected, this is public knowledge in multiple communities and has been tolerated and in turn enabled for far too long. Yesterday I tweeted that Pyrocynical groomed me and I posted screenshots of it along with an incorrect user ID and a video I sent him that he used in his video. I'm going to use this twit longer to elaborate on what I posted and answer some questions I've seen asked repeatedly in response to the allegations. Did he know your age? He did, but I don't have proof of that in message form. We talked often enough for him to know my full name, my ex-boyfriend and I's drama. He followed me on Twitter on both of his accounts, where I've always had my age listed in my bio. He absolutely knew my age, and I know that I told him multiple times. Either way, his girlfriend confirmed that they knew I was underage in the video I posted, the previously linked on Imager. Why didn't you go to the police? I'm in the US, he's in the UK, I don't see what good the police could have done with Discord messages where he sent me NSFW. Him being predatory is obvious in those messages, but they're not something I feel I could build a strong case for in court. Along with that, the cost of an international case is the last thing I want to face. These screenshots could have easily been doctored and you blanked your messages out, which is true, and the initial messages he did, blank out some of his messages. I definitely should have chosen a harder to fake method of screen capture instead of normal screens. Why the Imager is showing video of me scrolling on my phone. I censored out messages from me in the conversations because they are NSFW and I was ashamed, but I realized I caused confusion and a lack of context, so I left everything uncensored in the new Imgur. Why did you post inaccurate information when someone's career is on the line? I had the tweet in my dress for a few weeks and I posted on a whim during a breakdown. I hadn't prepared the screenshots I needed because I honestly thought I wasn't going to go through with this until yesterday morning, and I thought to throw the user ID in a screenshot because my friend told me about it. What I didn't realize is that you have to copy the user ID from a member list if the account's deleted. Because of that lack of understanding, I posted an example ID claiming that it was his, and I apologize for any confusion on that, and I've corrected it. Why are you just now coming out about this? I honestly thought that I wouldn't have been able to handle the backlash from posting allegations of this sort, and I think they wouldn't go far even if I did. While I do wish I would have come out earlier with this to some extent, I don't think I would have even been able to talk about this properly or realize the full consequences of this when I was younger and less mature. Along with that, the whole idea for me coming forward with this would have been closure for me instead of closure for fellow victims. I'm honestly glad I waited until I went at it from a latter perspective. If you've been in a situation like mine, please know that you're not alone, that there are loads of people who are willing to support you. Firstly, an important thing to note is that Pyro was banned on Twitter from 8th of December 2016 until 29th of June 2017, and I don't think he uses Twitter that often to this day. I do feel like it's unlikely. I understand the part about not wanting to take this to the authorities because, well, it seems very likely that they would throw something like this out, especially because, like they mentioned, Ivory in the US, Pyro in the UK. In the Imgur link, there's a conversation involving Ivory and Pyro's girlfriend that I must admit looks really bad. I'll play the video on screen now, but even after Pyro's response, they just look super toxic, and I do understand being upset that your boyfriend's being accused of things, but DMing the accuser and saying all this was absolutely a terrible move on her part, and ironically, this was actually the solidification that a lot of people needed early on in the case to say maybe this does have like a lot of validity to it. But that's all the information for this section. I don't have too much to say besides what I already said, so let's just move on to the next part, being Pyro's response.
Bota la lata, weonado, ¿qué me importa que seas del campo?
For a while, Pyrocynical kind of stayed dark on the topic, and I thought he would just never respond, but I guess I was recently proven wrong. On his Reddit, he made a post that reads as follows: "Hey gamers, I would like to take this opportunity to address a false allegation recently made against me on Twitter. As some of you may have seen, it has been claimed back in 2016 when I was 19 years old that I groomed an individual who was 15 years old at the time. I want to set the record straight with you all and share the truth. This accusation is 100% false and incredibly irresponsible. I am not denying that in the past, I took part in conversations with others that many of you will understandably considered to be weird or distasteful, probably an understatement. It was careless of me to not consider who was behind the roleplay/art sharing, and I take full accountability. But these exchanges never amounted to anything other than fantasy roleplay. I've never sent or solicited nude or IRL content. I've never tried to engineer an illicit encounter or lure anybody into anything. I've never built a dialogue, connection, or relationship with the intention of manipulating or exploiting anyone." This was even confirmed by Ivory himself in an interview, and he does link an interview where Ivory says exactly that. He never at any point stated that he felt uncomfortable, and if he did, I never would have continued to message and respond to him. Every exchange between Ivory and I was fully consensual and reciprocal. He never once disclosed the fact that he was 15 at the time these exchanges commenced. He didn't include his age in his bio until he was 16, but I was not on Twitter between 28th of December 2016 and 29th of June 2017 as I was suspended. Moreover, individuals have since come forward contending that Ivory would be disingenuous about his age to proactively gain entry into other fantasy roleplay groups. I am really confused by Ivory's inconsistency. There's evidence to suggest that he engaged in fantasy role play with another individual similar in age to me. This individual was also not aware of Ivory's age at the time, but in this particular example, it was Ivory who very much initiated and directed the roleplay. After Ivory alleged that I quote-unquote groomed him, this individual then reached out to him to apologize for any hurt he may have inadvertently caused him, to which Ivory responded, "No, you're fine. I don't care." Why does he not care in this instance? Why does he remain unaffected by similar interactions with others, yet feel the need to single me out and character assassinate only me on social media? Furthermore, if he is angry, confused, and as sad as he claims to be, why has he been in friendly contact with me right up until September of this year? During the interview mentioned earlier, he was confronted with evidence that he sent kink art to someone else. He initially claims it was him, but then backtracks, claiming he has no recollection. Another part of the interview is linked where he does say, he does do exactly that. I am not here to personally attack anyone, I just want to clear my name. Being falsely accused has been extremely stressful and is such a serious issue, I feel it has to now be addressed. All this being said, I will kindly ask my fans to not call out Ivory nor direct any negativity his way. I don't want to play any part in fueling or perpetuating hate. I just want to share the truth and close this chapter, move forward, and return to doing what I love, making unfunny videos. So yeah, that was his response, and in my opinion, it was pretty decent. What Pyro says in the first paragraph is, as far as the screenshots provided show, are absolutely true. It's very important to note that nowhere in the conversations did Pyro try to engage in anything that involved real-life contact. All of it was purely fictional, while that still is quite distasteful, as he so put it. He was not groomed. And yes, like he said, Ivory admitted that he misunderstood the definition of grooming and does not believe that's what happened to him. There's also the issue of Pyro showing screenshots that prove Ivory had been contacted by an individual who he had also ERP'd with and was allegedly similar age to Pyro, Krumar being Ivory in this screenshot. He also links evidence with them still being on friendly terms as of September in this year. In addition, there was a screenshot linked where the same person claimed that Ivory pressured them into doing things. Pyro also linked 2 different screenshots of people claiming that Ivory consistently lied about their age in order to get into various other ERP groups, which I did mention in the reading, but there is a lot of other information linked. The main conclusion that I want to draw here is Pyro in no way groomed Ivory as the initial accusations claimed. The conversations were really weird and there was dubious information regarding Pyro's knowledge of the age of the individual, but nowhere was he trying to solicit meetups or inappropriate photos of Ivory's actual body. I can say for certain that even engaging in this type of conversation with someone you haven't 100% age verified is very, very dumb, especially since the person was a fan of you. I'll get into all that in a different segment, but I do think Pyro was in the wrong here, just not to the extent Ivory is making it out as. And the main kicker to this is Pyro's knowledge of the person's age, which is again kind of up in the air, but it's more leaning towards the side that he didn't know as far as I'm aware. After this, Ivory made another response to Pyrocynical's response, which goes as follows. Ivory, in what I hope to be the final response to this thing because the situation's already really confusing in my opinion, made a response to Pyro going after 2 of his claims, and the thread reads as follows. This situation is a perfect representation of why victims don't come out about their experiences. I have ample proof, and all my friends who knew Pyro know what happened. I don't need to prove this shit to random strangers, but I hope with talking about this on a public platform, I was able to progress the conversations about weeding out exploitation of minors because it's a thing that runs rampant in all online communities, and it has potential to ruin people's lives before they even start. On top of that, it's also a matter of alerting potential victims to past predatory behavior. I'm confirmed correct when saying Pyro sent NSFW to a child and be blind to disregard his majority child fanbase being extremely easy prey for him if he decided to repeat that. The shit goes so much deeper than me clout chasing, and I struggle to see how people can't grasp this. The environment that's been made and upheld is more inclined to defend predators than children they prey on, and that choice of who to protect is strictly enforced. Examples that come to mind are me being apologized to for being RP'd with by an adult, then having my reply taken out of context and used against me in Niall's response. Me being gaslit by Niall's girlfriend and her mentioning incriminating shit to me to get me to back down on speaking out. All of the people from those circles telling me I should deal with it privately, which would make it insanely easy to sweep under the rug, along with people telling me I was egging it on when the entire point is that no matter how I was responding, Niall was talking to a child. It's all part of a social dynamic that allows influential people in online communities to prey on their friend groups and their audience with as little consequence as possible, and it's reinforced by people doing the same starstruck clout-chasing shit I am being accused of doing. Now, the accusation that Ivory lied about his age and the claim that Ivory was only going after Pyro because of his platform are present here. In regards to the latter, Ivory shows that the screenshot was cropped and that he sent a message that wasn't shown in Pyro's version saying that he just needed some space. To me, this just says that, yeah, he's feeling overwhelmed, and I do feel like that's a valid excuse to want to stop the conversation from happening, but the I don't care, you're fine kind of rubs me the wrong way if you ask me, because, I don't know, it just seems a little sus. The main thing I want to point out is the first tweet where he basically says this situation is why victims don't come out, I don't need to prove this shit to random strangers. Actually, Ivory, if you're going to make pretty serious claims against somebody, you do have to prove it. That's kind of how it works. You've given us plenty of screenshots, and while they do show some pretty nasty shit on Pyro's part, they don't show that he was ever grooming anyone like you so claimed. He then links back to the initial thread, claiming that's proof that he did know his age, but I personally did not come to the conclusion that he did know his age based on the information given there. Well, that's everything in this situation, albeit a little bridged, because honestly looking through this gives me a headache, and I'm also dealing with a lot right now. And now for my opinions. Is Pyro really sus for doing this? Absolutely. I do not think that Pyro should have been conversing in that way with a fan that he, benefit of the doubt, not know the age of. If that benefit of the doubt is removed, it's just really awful of him. Having NSFW conversations with people who are fans of you and having them compile stuff for you is just not a very good move in the slightest if you ask me, and he most certainly, at the very least, should have vetted the guy's age before they started talking in that way. However, I also do believe that Ivory is not completely clean of fault in this situation too. He should have looked up what grooming actually meant before he accused Pyro of doing it, because in the video with Tommy C, he does admit that it was a friend who told him to write it and that he didn't have a correct understanding of the implications of that word. I do believe that his response to Pyro wasn't very solid, especially because of the line of, he doesn't need to prove it to strangers, all of his friends know what happened because, well, you know, your friends, aka very biased people, knowing what happened does not hold up very well in the court of public opinion, or hell, any court for the matter. As for my stance on when to believe accusations, I say don't believe the accuser or the accused until both sides have said their piece and the evidence is provided on both sides. Do not believe the person, believe the evidence is my, good rule of thumb. Unfortunately, people lie, and some people have ulterior motives, and by the way, I am in no way saying this situation's one of them. I'm just saying that generally people don't always have the best intentions in mind, and it's best not to be too trigger happy when it comes to believing one side over the other. It's always good to wait and see, which is why I was pretty late on the topic, as I did want to see what Pyrocynical had to say before throwing my hat into the ring, so to speak. Overall, a general rule of thumb is that if you have a big platform, try to keep in mind the level of power you have over your fans, which includes, not doing what Pyro did. That's just a good thing to do. Don't do that. Don't jump on bandwagons until you hear the full evidence, and while this has been getting a lot better in the communities recently, it's just a good thing to be reminded of. That's about it for this video. I'll wrap it up now. So yeah, that's about it for this video. Pyro, while not being as bad as Ivory originally claimed, still really messed up, and I hope he does learn from this. Ivory should probably in the future double check everything is correct before just putting things out into the world, and both parties to an extent are at fault here. Anyways, without further ado, I'll be ending this video. I'm really sorry if it sounded rushed or messy or anything like that, because again, I'm kind of dealing with things on my own. I have a lot of things going on in my life that are kind of unfortunate, and also, I'm just really stressed lately, so I'm sorry about that. I have a lot of schoolwork, but anyways, if you liked, be sure to, like it, and if you want to see more content similar in the future, be sure to subscribe. It's free and a win-win for both of us. My commissions are still open if you want to get one of those. If not, you can always just follow me on my Instagram, Twitter, or DeviantArt. I post my art there, so you can get some extra content on the side. All links will be in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!